Hey everybody, welcome to the latest edition of On Tyranny, which is a series that I do and I speak with musicians about what's going on in the country right now. My name is Kurt Orzak. I'm the music journalist, rock critic, and this series appears on my website called The Bad Penny. And today I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming Charlie Nieland, who is a noted New York City singer, songwriter, producer. And gosh, your list of credentials is kind of hard to summarize, but some of the names that jumped out when I was doing my research into you is you've worked with Debbie Harry and Blondie and Sisters and Rufus Wainwright, which is just you must be used to being around celebrity and just high, larger than life individuals. So I appreciate you coming to this humble setting, where we just kind of talk about how you're dealing with um, the insanity of the country right now, and just sort of this is probably the 53rd or 54th installments. They once they started doing this in the spring, they just sort of started rolling along, and as I like to point out, initially the first set of interviews I did was with artists who live in countries across the world that are led by dictators, tyrants, that kind of thing. And the goal of the series, this is back in probably March or so, was to get a sense from those artists about how they deal, or rather how they can function and operate as an artist under a regime of that kind. And the reactions, I talked with the artists, let's see, Hungary, Russia, Iraq, Qatar,
Wow.
UAE. I talked with an artist in Chile, even though they're no longer a dictatorship. That artist was around during Pinochet. Um, and the idea was to kind of get a sense of, what American artists should potentially prepare for, and how, if the artists from around the world had gone through, were to come to this country, what that would mean to be an artist in America. So that was the initial kind of logic behind the series. But then inevitably, sure enough, as the months progressed, and what we're living in now started to become a more concrete reality, I sort of turned the focus to American artists to get a sense of how they're dealing with things, and how they're managing, what they're doing, whether they feel intimidated, whether they've gone through censorship, whether they've thought about leaving the country, all sorts of different, sort of areas that branch out from the central theme of the series. And I got to say, I've spoken with artists of, you know, a wide range of genres and wide range of ages, and from across the country. And the reactions are just all over the map. And, some people are hopeful, some people are despondent. So it's been a real learning experience, both for me and hopefully the audience too, and maybe even the people who are on the other side of the interview, as to, you know, um, connecting with other people, especially in an age of isolation. And I think, just one more point before I keep rambling here. Something that has cropped up recently is the importance of connecting with other people during this time, because as I've kind of come to learn through studying this subject a bit more and talking with people, the strongest tool that a person with dictatorial aspirations or even dictatorial power has is to divide and conquer and to isolate people from one another. And so it's been a real pleasure to be able to speak with people and form a bond, and just in the simple act of talking about the
Totally.
subject. So with that, we'll get started. And thank you again. Thanks for going my
Sure.
diatribe there. Um, um, I wanted to just start off with a question that I have been asking, with each interview. It's such a basic question, which is how are you doing?
Oh, I mean, I think there's no, like you said, that some people are hopeful, some people are despondent. I think we're all a bunch of layers of that. I think there's no one day where I feel one or the other, or to the exclusion of the other. So I've been trying to, I've been working on this particular album for a while, and it all ended up like timed out. So it's coming out this year. It's just how it happened. And a lot of the work of these songs does have a political bent,
Mhm.
and which isn't necessarily my default setting, but it just is where I am.
Mhm.
And now, I don't know. I think my reaction to this year, it's not like we're it's not like we're waiting for the authoritarian regime to arrive. It's here. It's happening. It's not it's in play. And I thought that, well, maybe some of my songs that they're so confrontational, should I be watching out for myself putting this out there? But I didn't. I just kind of stopped thinking about that.
Mhm.
And a song like Shame, which we just did the video for, we had a bunch of our friends be part of it who are a variety of races and gender identities. And that's kind of part of the song, was to say, fuck you, we won't do what you tell us, or whatever.
Yeah.
But in a sort of playful way, as much as it is channeling the anger. So
Mhm.
I don't know if I'm feeling pretty good. I'm I'm feeling like I'm definitely feeling anxiety
Mhm.
over what's coming, but I also feel like there's no sense in holding on to that too tightly,
Yeah.
because to be truthful, this authoritarian regime is quite stupid,
Yeah.
and they will definitely mess up their plans. And so let's just see how it goes.
Mhm.
I'm not intimidated at this stage. I probably will be, but I don't think all of the things that they're promising aren't going to come true in the way they think they are.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I guess in sort of a similar way that the campaign promises that they made, didn't exactly play out as promised. um, uh, the album is stories from the borderlines, and can you kind of give me a sense of? You just talked about how the album sort of evolved as you were making it. What sort of headspace were you in when you went into the making of the record, and then how did that change as you were doing the writing and recording, and then where do you feel like you wound up, and also along with that, do you feel like you what do you feel like you learned from the creation of making the album?
Well, I was in a band for about 25 years with my ex-wife and some other friends, and one of them is Billy Luce, who still drums with me now. And about 13 years ago, that band sort of ended,
Mhm.
and I was, producing other artists, but I got involved with a a songwriting series called the Bushwick Book Club, run by a very visionary songwriter named Susan Huang. And each month, a book is selected, and a group of songwriters write songs in reaction to that book.
Oh,
Sometimes it's not just songwriters. There's comedy, there's chefs, there's all sorts of different things, but it's mostly songwriters. And it kind of got me out of being less precious about my lyric writing, because I ended up co-producing the series with her. So I participated like almost every month. I had to have a new song by a certain date. And I learned how to be a little more, I learned a lot about my process. And, but anyway, when all of these songs for Stories from the Borderlines were at some point related to something to do with Bushwick Book Club.
Mhm.
And they all have a book that was the genesis of that particular song. But often I mix in a lot of other things when I'm writing the song. The book is usually partly represented in the song, but not really. I don't usually write a song about a book. Maybe I'll take a character or an idea and kind of mix it with something else that's going on in the present. And so a lot of those songs are, were written in the period after 2020, after 2021. And so they were, some of the songs were from the COVID era, from the lockdown era. There were, there was a song in there that Bushwick Book Club did a event with the Kurt Vonnegut Museum and Library in Indianapolis, where 5 of us were invited to be part of their band book week.
Oh my
And
gosh. Wow.
we spent the week in we traded places, staying overnight in the museum itself. But the basic assignment was each of us was going to write a song that week and present it at a concert at the end of the week for the museum audience. And it was really interesting. It was really a fishbowl. Like we were all thrust into this situation, and there was a little drama and a little, but a lot of cooperation and a lot of, yeah. I learned a lot. We went on some walking tours of Indianapolis. Indianapolis was a jazz city because it was on the northern route, for the northern migration,
Oh, okay. Wow.
and there's a
Didn't know that,
lot
but I
of,
can see it now that you say it. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I didn't really know that, but there's like big murals and stuff. And anyway, I ended up writing this song called Win, which is from the album that week. It was one of those things where everybody else had a song going and I had nothing. And I don't know this. I was also listening to a podcast. Oh, I'm sorry. And let me back up. The book that I was reacting to was called All Boys Aren't Blue, and it was one of the most banned books that year in 2022.
Mhm.
And it was a coming of age story of a young
Oh, yeah.
queer black man.
Uh-huh.
It's a very it's a typical YA book for as far as I do a lot of audiobook editing, and one of our biggest clients is Penguin Random House. I read a lot of YA books. I listen to a lot of YA books.
Yeah.
So there was nothing particularly offensive about it, but I think it was in that like knee jerk reaction against the 1619 Project. And
Right.
so anyway, writing this song, and I I don't know, I fell asleep one night with the lyrics popping into my head of the chorus, which was, I just want you to win. Go ahead and take my place. This is how it begins. Take a look at my face. Those lines just like went through my brain as I was falling asleep. So I just kind of typed them into my phone. I was like, okay. And I got up in the morning. I was like, wow, that sounds like a chorus. And then I wrote the music, just came out that morning, and all these verses poured out. And it was also about, it also ended up incorporating my reaction to people's fear of of DEI and multiculturalism.
Mm.
That I had recently seen a spot on the news of this woman who is in Texas who is part of a group to make sure her children didn't learn about Black history too young because she was so scared. And I honestly felt compassion, even though I vehemently disagree with her. And I was like, oh, you can just hear the fear in her voice. And so that's what this song Win ended up harping on, a theme that became part of a lot of the songs on the album,
Mhm.
about how to disagree with someone without dehumanizing them.
Mm. Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so there was one of the artists that was there is named Spirit Child. He's an amazing rapper and singer and producer. And I asked him to for the show. It's like, can you do something at the end of this song? It's kind of it's like a post-punk sort of alternative, maybe Bowie, Psych Furs kind of upbeat, Echo and the Bunnymen. I don't know. Those are my influences for that song. And he came in with this amazing rap at the end. And so when I recorded it, I included that. And it just reminds me of like, it was really inspiring. And it's a surprise when you listen to the song and it comes in. Kind of like Jesus Jones or those bands from like the early 90s around the time of the fall of the Soviet Union where they were mixing hip hop and alternative. And I don't know, it was an interesting song, and that was one of the singles that we released this fall
Yeah.
that came out with this album.
And Spirit Child is the featured artist on the song too.
That's right. I had to kind of look up how do you list it on the streaming services. So I kind of noticed that that's the way they do it in a lot of R&B songs,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of songs where a rapper is featured. So it's like you go featured,
Yeah.
feature, you put the name. So I put that in the title of the song.
Yeah.
I don't know. But by the time I finished recording, I recorded, I produced it myself. So producing yourself is a lot slower than producing other people because you just are going back and forth with your own brain. But anyway, a bunch of things went down. My mother became ill. My brother and I had to take care of her. She's doing a lot better now.
Good. Okay.
But a lot of things forced the project onto the back burner for a while. And I ended up being able to come back to it after going through a bunch of really intense things. And it was really inspiring to come back to it. And all of that is against the backdrop of 2024, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. I feel like a lot of my life in the past 10 years has been about not being so insular and moving myself into a wider circle. I've done it musically, first like getting involved with Bushwick Book Club and
Right.
writing songs and presenting shows with other songwriters. And then recently I've been singing in this series called The Losers Lounge in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like anything that sort of takes me into a new realm of unpredictable things is what interests me at this stage. And I feel like I used to be in bands where I was like kind of the other lead singer along with a female vocalist in a couple different bands. And this starting with Divisions, or even starting with Hopeful Monsters in 2016, I started making albums as like the central character. And I'm really embracing it now. There's a lot I want to do with it. I feel like I'm the channel for something, and so I'm feeling like I'm more self-accepting,
Mm.
even as everything is so crazy, you know.
Yeah. It's almost a little bit ironic maybe that you're finding yourself less insular after having been in bands for so long, where I would imagine uh there would be a sense of more cooperation, but I guess that's not always the rule, the rule per se.
Oh no, it's true. I mean, I learned a lot from being in bands, but I also learned a lot as a producer
Mm.
how to sort of foster a group creative situation.
Yeah.
And that's but you're right. In a way, I've gone in reverse because I'm producing myself as a solo artist
Yeah.
and playing most of the instruments and stuff like that. And it is different than being in a band. So in a way, it's kind of natural that I'm also putting myself into wider situations while I'm doing that.
Yeah. And the band,
Balances it out.
sorry, the band that you meant, the band of probably most prominent note that you alluded to before, having been in for 25 years. Um, um, that's um, that's Her Vanished Grace, correct?
That's correct. I should have said that.
Just want to make sure the audience knew. Um, um, Thank you for the thoughtful response. That was remarkable. There's a lot to chew on there, and I appreciate you being so transparent and forthcoming about you know what the creative process was like and what was going on in your life. Um, I did want to go back to one thing briefly, which is when you saw that woman interviewed on TV about her being afraid of her children learning about Black history. Did she specify why she was afraid or what she was afraid of specifically? Was it just the
I
sense
think
of knowledge?
she was parroting the the conservative right wing silo that she was in. You know, she was. I think it comes back to. I think a lot of people can't accept that structural racism is a real thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And so then they personalize it like I'm not a racist. I'm being called a racist. My children are going to be called racists if they learn about this. And they personalize something that is actually a collective horror, a collective problem that I mean, we're all racists. We participate in this system.
Yeah.
And if we choose, we can do what we can on our local, on our, in our sphere to try to dismantle it. That doesn't mean that you couldn't look at some aspect of what I am and say, well, you're racist
Mhm.
or you are everything that I do could be considered evil to somebody, but I choose to move forward in the way that I think is best for the world. And I think, I don't know, I'm getting a little off topic. I think that she personalized something that was actually something that is just if you use a little compassion, if you change your if you just shift your point of view a little bit, it's kind of the way that like meditation works. It's like if you are focusing on your breath and meditating and you having a million thoughts and you start like thinking about all the thoughts or you start inhabiting all the thoughts or allowing your mind to follow along with that. The thing about meditation is that it's a practice. It's not perfection. You shift your mind back to the breath. And that's something that we can do. It's like so it's the same thing. It's like I think people think that there's that when we're talking about trying to change inequities and trying to enact social justice that we're talking about some kind of perfect world
Right.
or trying to
Right.
you have to be perfect but it's just a matter it's a practice
Yeah.
and you're not always going to be perfect at it so but just bring your mind back to an awareness of other people and what they're going through the compassion will actually come from that
Yeah.
and so that's kind of like what she reminded me of
Hmm. Hmm.
and the lady on the TV.
Yeah. No, I think it's salient that you remember what she said because you were listening to somebody with an oppositional viewpoint or somebody who was thinking differently, and you gave a thought, and it stuck with you. Um, Another thing I wanted to kind of go back to that you mentioned was, you know, the dehumanization sort of aspect of how uh, some of us are dealing with each other as neighbors and fellow citizens. Um, have you struggled with that at all at any points? And just to expand on that a little bit, I'm finding the word monster being thrown around a lot on both sides, and I'm certainly not one to equate um, what's happening on one side with what's happening on the other. I think the disparities are too great for that. I was never a
Right,
fan of the equal sides news coverage thing.
right.
But with ICE going to Chicago, and I don't know if they've really. have they been in New York all that much yet?
Not that much. I mean, we had an incident on Canal Street the other day.
Uh-huh.
I actually live in it's Weehawken, New Jersey. I moved here 2 years ago,
Oh, okay.
and it's right across from Manhattan. It's like if you look out the window back there, you can see the tops of some of the buildings. It's like it's literally like you look down at the Hudson at the end of our block, and I live very close to New York City, is what I'm saying. But that there's been some. This is a very Latino community in Weehawken, and there's and in Union City, which is nearby, and there's definitely been some ICE sightings in New York, in Union City.
Mhm.
And the thing is, right now we're in the middle of a very consequential governor's race in
Yeah,
New Jersey,
yeah. An
and
inspirational one at that, right?
it's what you say.
An inspirational one at that.
I think it could be, and but it's close.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary. So I've been I've been kind of activated to be, I don't know, listening to some podcasters and some people on Instagram, some Instagram influencers who I admire, and people like Heather Cox Richardson, and there's somebody named Amanda Nelson who's really good on Instagram, and she just emphasizes that these battles should be fought on a local level.
Mm.
And so I've been doing phone banking, and I've been doing canvassing,
Mhm.
and I'm going to try to do as much as I can in the next week because the election's next Tuesday.
Okay.
And there's a rally with Mikey Sherrill is the Democratic candidate, and her and Barack Obama have a big rally on Saturday. We're gonna in Newark. We're gonna go to that.
Mhm.
So this is, I just feel like it's something. There's actually more. There's This is more consequential than even the national election in New York and New Jersey, because my vote counted, but New York and New Jersey, we're going to go for Kamala Harris anyway.
Right.
But this is close, and here it is. It's happening right now. So I'm trying to be trying to put myself in the middle of it
Yeah. Can you
as
talk
much as
about
I can.
the feeling you get through participation? I mean, it sounds pretty elementary, but something that I try to express to people who are on the fence about whether or not to go to a protest, for example, or haven't been before, or just sometimes even talking about the subject of what's going on, is that it can really be an invigorating feeling and cathartic in some ways. Are you feeling that with your actions?
I just feel like I mean, when I was at the No Kings protest, I went to the New Jersey version. I enjoyed the feeling of being part of this group, and I enjoyed the energy, but at the same time, I was really struck by, wow, how come more people aren't talking about the Cheryl Chitterelli race? Because
Mm.
this would be a moment for us all to be going like, hey, do you need to register to vote? Like, because we're right here in New Jersey happening this thing. And
Yeah.
so it did inspire me to actually go and look up where I could volunteer. And here I am. I'm volunteering. I'm calling people on the phone. And so I've never phone banked before.
Yeah.
That was something, a lot of people hung up on me just because they hang up on anyone who you
Yeah.
kind of hang up if you don't know who it is who's calling you. And there was a nice amount of people who were like, oh yeah, I'm voting for her already. And I just tried to help tell them where their early voting is and stuff like that. But and there were a few people there was one person who tried to get into it with me a little bit about a fact from the campaign, a fact that Chitterelli has been using against her about her making $7 million when she was a House representative, which I had no idea about. And I think that's an exaggeration. And then I looked it up, and I was pretty much right.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't feel like you're making a huge difference when you're doing stuff like that while you're doing it,
Right.
because And same thing when I did the canvassing. Like a lot of people weren't home, but there were some people who were already voting, and that's good. I just feel like at this stage, I'm not going to convince anyone to vote for her who isn't who's a Republican or something. But as we know, a lot of people just don't vote.
Yeah.
They feel apathy or they feel overwhelmed. So I'm hoping to make a difference that way of just saying, let's all just like make sure if you are for this, if you are don't want to see the social safety net shred, you know, let's just vote.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like I can't complain about what happened afterwards unless I do something now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. There's much left to the week, and even though I have a CD, I have a release party, a release show next Wednesday for my album, and there's a lot of rehearsing and things to do. I'm still going to be doing as much as I can for this particular thing because it's literally the day after the election,
Oh, well. Okay.
so it's all kind of happening at the same time.
But your album came out last Friday, right?
I Yeah, yeah, but the I couldn't. It's really hard to get just getting the show scheduled. It ended up being like a couple weeks after the album came out. So
Gotcha. Can you actually, well, I mean, we only have about 5 minutes left anyway. Can you share where the record release party is going to be held and where people can find tickets to?
yeah, it's there's a place in Manhattan called Berlin Under A in the East Village, and um, if you go there, you can find the ticket link. But it's on November 5th, Wednesday, November 5th. I'm performing along with a couple other acts that I've worked with as a producer. Jessie Kilgus is playing before me. I produced her recent record. And then another band called Life in a Blender that's been playing in New York for like 30 years. And I've worked with their singer on a solo project, a Tom Waits tribute album.
Hmm.
I'm sorry. It was a Peter Gabriel tribute album.
Okay.
But anyway, the show starts at 7:30 p.m. and the tickets are only $10. But my album is on all the streamers and it's at Bandcamp. If you don't know what Bandcamp is, a lot of artists still sell their music on a place called Bandcamp, and you can buy either files or if someone has vinyl or whatever, you can buy that. This is not on vinyl, but this is you can definitely download the record for yourself there.
Mhm. Are you planning a
But
vinyl release in the future?
we'll see how things go. It's kind of very expensive to make vinyl, and then the storage and this trying to send out vinyl, it's all kind of complicated. And also the album's a little long for vinyl. It's like a 55-minute album or something, and I'd have to cut songs, and
Yeah.
I can't decide.
What about tour plans? Do you have anything lined up yet? Or
I hadn't really gigged. I've been playing guitar in other people's bands, but I hadn't gigged on my own for a while and for my own project. And so just getting this going is good. I have a band that I love playing with. So, well, I'm going to try to play as much as I can in the New York City, New Jersey area, and then we'll see how things go. I mean, I'd like to maybe play in some other East Coast cities too,
Mhm.
and we'll see if it turns into touring.
Excellent. And you said that the video for Shame, did it already come out or is it
Yes, there's a video for Shame on YouTube,
great?
and just Charlie Nieland. I have a YouTube channel. It's Nieland, and yeah, the video is really good. My friend Hypnodal made it, and we had a really good time shooting it. And I'm gonna try to make some more videos as this whole release season goes through.
Awesome. We'll include the video in the post about this interview, and then I'll link to it in the YouTube description of this video as well.
Excellent.
One thing that I found to be a little frustrating with this series is that sometimes they get cut off at the end when an artist is speaking. So we have just about a minute left. So if it's okay with you, we'll just wrap up. And I just want to say how much I appreciate, again, you speaking with such eloquence and and calmness about the subject. Everybody's kind of coming in with a different sort of perspective and attitude, and I've really appreciated you sharing yours. So
Thank you.
it's
Thank you.
been
I enjoyed talking. I'm I'm very mad about everything, but I also think that persuasion's important, and that's why I think there's no point in dehumanizing people. And also, I think that it's kind of an illusion that we're not really separate beings or part of one wave of energy. And if you, selflessness is the solvent for this whole thing. And if we sort of focus on the fact that this is all one big thing looking back at itself, sometimes that takes us out of our little silo of that person's doing something to me and I hate them, you know? So,
well said. It's very meditative aspects to that message you just brought. So um, good luck with the party next week. I hope it goes great. And thank
thank
you
you.
for your time. It's been a
All
pleasure.
right. For me too.
Okay. Thanks so much, Charlie.
Thank you.
Okay.